Welcome to the Earth Rocks Podcast. The Earth Rocks Podcast. Earth Rocks Podcast.
Well, I'm angry. It's been the day from hell, but I'm here. Friday night. We're rocking. I'm full of piss and vinegar. There's plenty to talk about. Mr. Kagiwa is joining me again.
Hello.
What's up,
Welcome
buddy?
to the EarthVox podcast.
Thank you for joining us.
Of
There's
course.
a lot to talk about, but I don't know how much we're going to actually get to because like I said, I'm full of rage, and usually that usually makes for good content. But there are a few things to get to. There's plane crashes. There's been another plane crash as of just a few hours ago. Or we're meant anyway to believe that there's a plane that it was a plane that dived. One of those words.
Nose dove.
But man, I'm so burnt out. I need to I need to get out from underneath this corporate parasite. I'm gonna start an OnlyFans or something. Why are you laughing? Look how handsome I am.
No, I'm just saying, man. That's
No,
you know,
I know.
there's I mean that is that
I couldn't really do it. I couldn't really do it. Not while my mom is still alive.
yeah. Yeah, to go on a bit of a tangent, I was thinking about starting one too and saying like the sexiest food porn there is, but then literally it's food, slow-mo shots of food, like crack the egg yolk really slow, very slow teriyaki sauce pour. Like,
Yeah, get a little ASMR going.
mhm.
I want to do it just to see what would happen. It would basically just be this show with my shirt off and see what happens. I feel like, I really have no idea what to expect. That's why I'm curious about it. But I couldn't really. I'd be way too embarrassed. I'd have to change my name.
The EarthVox podcast.
Yeah.
That's a double entendre.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I was not made for the 9 to 5, or as it was today, 9 to 8. Not fun. And I'm not even an immigrant, and I feel like I'm being exploited. So those poor guys are getting. That's one of the biggest. That's one of the main reasons I'm so against immigration, illegal immigration. It happens because these companies want free immigrant labor. I've told the story before on the podcast, but I worked for Kitchen Caboodle furniture company for a while in the Portland area.
Mm-hmm.
I only worked for them for a few weeks because I ended up getting another job offer. But the guy that was working there had been there for 9 years and was making less money than they offered me to start. And it was actually one of the reasons that I took the other job offer, because I couldn't believe he was undocumented. And that was the only reason that they weren't giving him, regular raises and benefits to match and all of that stuff. I can't, it's why I say globalism could be a great thing. One world government, no borders, a standard of living for the entire planet, a standard minimum wage. All of those things would be wonderful, but instead immigration and illegal immigration is used as a weapon to damage us. And it's, then to make matters worse, we get a bunch of criminals. And it was crazy. Donald Trump butted heads with the president of Colombia. We learned earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
Because she didn't want, or he, I get him confused. I know the president.
He. Colombia, Mexico, she.
Colombian president.
I think
Yeah,
I might.
Gustavo Petro is his name.
Gustavo Gasolina. Yeah, Petro.
And the president of Mexico does not even sound like Mexican. What's her name? Claudia Sheinbaum is the president of Mexico. Man, I have no problem. I have no problem with that. I just think like when you say Claudia Sheinbaum, I'm like, oh, who is she? She's an author.
Yeah, but you got the Claudia part.
That's true. Claudia.
Yeah.
And she just married some guy named Sheinbaum. I would suppose. Anyway, they're not really nobody, and this is the problem, and this is what I felt like in the last Donald Trump term administration. You know, his first 4 years, it really started to feel in like 2019 pre-pandemic. It was really feeling like Donald Trump versus the world. And on one hand, it's like, yeah, America, at least American foreign policy has kind of been like made us look like dicks.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. I get why people want to attack us. They want to send all of their criminals over because I mean, what, like, how sweet, how, like, what an awesome deal. Colombia doesn't want to take their prisoners back because they're criminals, of course. So Donald Trump says, all right, we're going to circle the runway one time and we're going to put 25% tariffs on everything that you try to sell to us. And if we circle the runway a second time, it's going to go up to 50%. And it's going to just keep going up until the Colombian president said, okay, all right, here, I'm going to send my plane. I'll send my plane. We'll pick them up. Now, and I wish I knew more about how this was going to work. It's developing and it's probably sensational. Now Donald Trump says he's opening up Guantanamo Bay. And although it's being disputed because one person said there's only like 279 cells or something like that at Guantanamo Bay, that there's 30,000 beds to keep illegal immigrants that I'm assuming won't go back or are will not be accepted back to their home countries, but also could potentially return to our country after being deported. And I just don't know how I really feel about that, because on one hand, I think if we'll just say Mexico, because of their proximity, if we have Mexican gang members in Guantanamo, the American prison in Cuba, why shouldn't Mexico have to pay for those prisoners to stay in Guantanamo? It's not being discussed. It should be discussed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like Donald Trump is taking a pretty hard stance. It's almost, I mean, I guess I got to be honest. It's a little bit, I hate to say it, but I want him to ease up just a little bit. I just a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
I think
a little bit nice, man.
Yeah, I think honestly, with like the slew of the executive orders that he signed, you know, he I think he wants to try and cement his place on Mount Rushmore. You know, I was watching the I don't know if you watch Piers Morgan and Tucker Carlson Uncensored, where you know, Tucker Carlson said something. I mean, if he could prevent like Russia, prevent war with Iran and Russia this term, it basically makes him the greatest at this point, just because of all the stuff that's happening. Again, that's his opinion. You know, and you know, art of the deal, right? Like, you have to play hardball in order to get what you want, and we did that for 4 years under Trump, but a lot of that action was stifled by, you know, the swamp and also, you know, the left. And, you know, I understand the sentiment, because I mean, coming from parents who emigrated to this country legally, you know, and having friends that were waiting for green cards on the lotto and or taking the get married approach, you know, like it's you jump through all of these hoops, and then when folks come here with the notion of a better life, they do it illegally, and it's not cool. Like kind of the White House press secretary was saying, they're asking like, oh, I thought you were only looking to deport the criminal, the criminal undocumented immigrants. But she has a point. When you enter a country illegally, that's a federal crime. You are committing a crime.
It's true.
Now, do I understand why you'd want to do it? Absolutely. I mean, say what you will about, our country and our shortcomings and everything else. But, there is that messaging of, America, the United States of America being the land of opportunity. And there is a hint of truth to it. But I feel like that truth only comes to fruition if you use the proper channels. That,
Yeah,
and I'm just using my own life as an example. Like immigrant parents emigrated from Japan, and people will say, oh well, Japan's like a rich country, this and that. Well, my dad came from the Philippines. He came to U.S. via the Philippines, via Japan. Doing being a seaman, like a boatman, merchant marine. Yeah, I know. I use that word.
You
purposefully.
did it on purpose.
Yep. But he worked his tail off. I mean, there was a point when I was a baby where they didn't know if they're going to live here in the States or not. But I'm glad they did. Otherwise, I'd probably look like one of those J-pop idols and like skinny.
Well, one thing that I heard that was very heartening is that if you can prove, even if you're undocumented, if you can prove that you weren't, or that you've been in the country just 2 years or longer, then you're not like immediately slated for deportation. But then Donald Trump said we're not deporting people fast enough. So I think everybody's kind of getting caught in the net, the ICE net, because Donald Trump and Tom Homan, the borders are, and everybody is really gung-ho on getting these people out of here. But one thing that came up, and I've seen recurring over and over again, is that ICE is taking kids out of the classrooms. And it's funny because this story stemmed from they say it was mistaken, that it was actually Secret Service agents that were involved in some kind of investigation at a school. But of course, the media takes it and runs with it.
Of course.
Because if they can say ICE is taking kids out of classrooms, then everybody clutches their pearls. And I just started thinking, like, why would ICE take a kid out of the classroom? What's the obvious answer?
Why would to prove the point of the administration? I mean, that's number one. Like, we'll do it to anyone. We don't care. I mean, there's it's a show of force. It's a show.
But the reason that they would go to the school to get the kid, I mean, in my opinion, is because they got the parents.
Makes sense.
Parents. Yeah. They say the kid's in the school and we got to go get the kid because we got the parents. Okay. So then why would a teacher want to stop ICE from taking the kid? What's going to happen to the kid if ICE has the parents and the school stops the kid? And just immediately all of the pedophile conspiracies come into pop into my head, because this was a sensational news that was kind of covered up. 300,000 kids, migrant children that had been documented, at least to some extent, as coming across the border. Suddenly they don't know what happened to them over the course of Biden's term in office. Well, then Donald Trump found 75,000 of them, and we don't really know what's going on because the news cycle is moving so fast. Donald Trump's been writing executive orders like crazy. Were there any that stood out? I actually have the Wikipedia that you sent to me pulled up.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the birthright citizenship one is kind of that one's a bit
It's weird,
confusing
isn't
for
it?
me.
Yeah, it's
So
weird.
it's strange because number one, I am a direct like benefactor of birthright citizenship. However, both my folks had a green card when I was born here. Like they had a residence, like the permanent resident card. So like I understand the why, because like people who come here illegally, if your kid is here and they have that birthright, then you need to stay here to be able to take care of this American child, or like citizenship wise, nationalistically, your child, right? So I can understand the repealing of it. And obviously you can't retroact like for me for example, right? They can't say like, okay, so anyone born after 1980 from parents who only had a green card are no longer United States citizens. Like that would be a cluster fuck of like like passport revocations and this and that. But like there is a side of me that feels that this is a bit I understand why it's been enacted. I feel like it's kind of an unfair thing for those people who came here by legal means that have like either a resident card or even like a what's the like the H-1B visa. Although
Yeah.
they're here for work, they're like their job is the one sponsoring them, but they came here to make a better life and live that American dream. And to an extent, I feel like that's being taken away from those cases of people who came here the correct way.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the in Donald Trump's first term when he banned the travel from the Muslim countries,
Mhm.
or the countries that were known for harboring terrorists. The first thing that came into my mind, and it's actually one of the reasons that I left Facebook many years ago, because I said, this is what happens when you let people leave your country and go blow up America. America's going to say, okay, nobody can come over from your country anymore. Sorry about it. That's just the way it goes. And I got tremendous outrage and lost a bunch of friends, and whatever. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But I'm very on the fence about the birthright citizenship thing. It's also because it's been abused. Because Rosita hops across the border, shits out a kid, and then now they're both American citizens. Like that's not the way it's supposed to work. It's like the Chevron deference decision that I think it was over last summer.
Mm-hmm.
The Supreme Court said, no more Chevron deference. We can't have these institutions writing and enforcing their own laws without, congressional approval, without going through the legislature.
Yeah.
And I just thought like there was tremendous outrage and everyone was losing their mind and freaking out and talking about tyranny and, whatever. Or it was more like, oh, there goes the environment. We can't enforce any more environmental regulations because that's just what the left does anymore. And I just thought to myself, if you guys weren't abusing the shit out of these privileges and making people all get all up at arms because you're trampling their rights and trying to enforce all of these fees and basically ruining people's lives, if you weren't taking massive advantage and abusing your power, it wouldn't become an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I almost wonder if Donald Trump even thinks it's going to stick, because immediately, I think it says here, the executive order was immediately challenged in court by the American Civil Liberties Union and the Asian Law Caucus in the case New Hampshire Indonesia Community Support versus Donald Trump on January 21st. So the very next day.
Yeah. See, Asians, we're a hive mind. Just
what's
kidding. We're not a hive mind.
Not a hive mind, but
We have there's values.
There's-
There's values to like the Asian community, the greater Asian community, Southeast Asian community, everything else.
Asians are really they're getting it pretty bad.
I mean, are we though?
I mean, that's the impression that I get.
Yeah, I mean, we
Like they're changing.
with
Like,
regards,
what was? Didn't Harvard just like change the rules, their admission rules, to say like not so many Asians? Like that's kind of messed up.
yeah,
It should
but
be merit based.
I think the thing about Asian folks, and I am generalizing, so trigger warning for anyone watching who has more liberal
Let me
pro-
preemptively clutch my pearls.
proclivities. We don't give a crap. We figure it out. I mean, when you talk about
And that's pretty
privilege,
clear.
like Asian people are the most privileged people in this goddamn country. We make the most money. We're the least amount of the population in any prison. We're the least amount of getting pulled over unless we drive terribly. um, and even with even within that, like there are a lot of small business owners that are Asian, and like you look at like the old Asian shopkeeper, like at a liquor store or whatever, and you think, oh, he just owns a liquor store. But the reality is homeboy probably has like one of those black metal American Express cards, and he makes, all of his purchases on that Amex, pays it right back at the end of the month, and his credit score is up the wazoo, and he's, taking vacations because he makes his like 16-year-old son run the shop after school.
There's an Indian guy, and I mean, Indian is technically Asian, but
it is Asian. It's not technically Asian. It's freaking Asian.
It is Asian, but I think most people would draw a distinction. He owns all of the gas stations within 20 miles. And that's impressive as hell. Like he started out with, I mean, he owns gas stations, he owns grocery stores, and it's because he works and saves and is a massive businessman in this area. And that should be, it's like shunned. Like, oh, Asians are doing too well. We got to figure out how to hold them down, instead of like, oh, what are the Asians doing? We should pay attention. It's like the same thing with Jews. But he's like, oh, Jews, they control everything, and they can, control the weather and all the conspiracy theories and everything. It's like, well, maybe, like, how is that not born out of jealousy? Like,
I very much think it is. And if you compare, let's say the Jewish community and the greater, let's say the Japanese American community, and I'll say that like people who were born of folks that were interned, right? So to quote one of my favorite animes, Dragon Ball, from destruction comes creation, right? So you think about Hiroshima, Nagasaki, like destruction. Japan, like little tiny island, was like one of the 3 freaking Axis powers during World War II. They had to get pegged down a little bit because they were getting too big for their britches. And look at them now. I mean, yeah, their birth rate is down, but overall, I mean, like you ask any person on the left or right coast, they're probably like in their top 7 is like, I want to go to Japan. I want to visit Japan. And then you have like every other weeb who's like, oh, I don't want a waifu. Freaking typing really hard on the keyboard, whatever else. But to rein it back in from the swerve, Trump.
Oh, the weave, by the way. It was the weave. We talked about it on the last interview. The weave. That's what he called it.
Yeah, the weave. Yeah, the weave. The weave. I mean, Japan's always up there, right? And then if you look at the Jewish community, I mean, for fuck's sake, they tried to make a race of people extinct. By they, I mean the Nazis and Adolf Hitler. Fuck that guy.
I really don't get it, man. Because
but look at that. They're from near destruction to like abject success.
Well,
it's like the trope of you have to hit rock bottom to hit your stride, right? And clearly, statistically speaking, like Asian people, the stride has been hit. Jewish people, more or less, the stride has been hit because I've never, anecdotally speaking, I've never met a Jewish person who was on any sort of assistance, government assistance.
I don't think I have either.
Food stamps or anything else. I mean, yeah, they got scholarships and whatever else, but that's a different kind of assistance. That's assistance for like you're doing good, not like safety net assistance,
Well, and if you have a particular set of skills, you're going to gravitate towards something that allows you to exercise those skills. And just because that particular profession or application of those skills happens to be very lucrative has nothing to do with your race
Mm-hmm.
or where you came from. Like,
Yeah, like Filipino people in nursing,
yeah,
Filipino people in nursing, Japanese people in like engineering and creating stuff, and just being generally like general businessman. I mean, myself, nursing wasn't it. I'm half Japanese, half Filipino, so I did the next best thing. I married a nurse, so that way, there's a nurse in the family. But I am in Japan they call it a salary man, like just a businessman who works on a salary. And that's I either wanted to be a Power Ranger or a salary man growing up when I was 5 years old. I shit you not. Power Ranger didn't work out, but salary man did. But all that to say, yeah, the birthright citizenship, I think that needs to be honed in a little bit, because we talked about the Asian caucus suing, and that they very well should. There needed to be, like, I hate to say it, there needed to be more specificity. Like, you start including folks with the green card, it's like, dude, stop. The fact that they have that permanent resident card should tell you all that you need to know. They went through the right channels. And that's why I'm I'm not, love him or hate him. I mean, Donald Trump is the president. I'm not like one of those toe the party line MAGA dudes, but
yeah, me neither.
I'll give credit where credit is due, and I'll give discredit where discredit is due. And this is one I would definitely say is on the discredit side for me.
Yeah, there was another thing. What was the context? Just on the immigration issue, I just want to say we gotta speed up the process. We gotta speed up the process so that we can say, all right, we're ready for more immigrants. Let's open the valve and bring people in, and they can come in quickly. And it's not gonna be this, put in your application and then wait for 8 years to find out while you're, you're trying to plan your life. It's not fair. And I think, like, I was just telling my daughter this the other day, life isn't fair.
Nope.
We need to try to make it fair, because fair is good. Equality, not equity.
But as long as
equality.
it's equal opportunity. And if it's, I very much think, like, the government knows how many people die per year, right?
Yeah.
Let's say, I don't know, 2 million people die per year, right? I don't know. I'm just using a number randomly, right? That you just say, okay, we have 2 million people dying. Let's take in 500,000 every year, or an X percent of annual deaths per, right? And bring that amount of immigrants in.
How many
the
people
best
did
way
you
to make
say?
it equal, it's the system now. It's the lotto system, right? So that just takes us back to that place. But as long as there is like, I said 2 million. I wasn't far off.
Dude, you were close. That's what I was saying. Like, how many people did you say? In 2023, about 3 million people died in the United States. It's damn close. Damn close. Oh, I almost closed the stream. Yeesh. But what I was going to say about Donald Trump. So Donald Trump. Oh, it was the turning the water on in California. He posted on Truth Social. I don't know if I can find it. He said that he sent in the military to turn the water on in California. I did as much research as I could to find out if that was true, and it looks to me like it was blatantly false.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like that's not, I mean, I know he's trying to sound like a badass. He's trying to, like, lay the law down and slap down the leftists and the crazy. But come on, man. Like, what actually happened was the Department of Reclamation, I think is what it was called, was responsible for these 3 valves massive valves that controlled, federal water
Mhm.
supply. Those valves had been under maintenance, and I guess I don't know that this is where it gets a little wishy-washy, because first of all, it's just the state of California that said no, he didn't send in the military. So it's I would be more inclined to believe California before, or believe Donald Trump before I would believe California. No offense.
No offense
Um,
taken.
But I got the vibe because you had all those wildfires that
Mhm.
are maybe still going, kind of. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
they're still it's getting better, but it's not as crazy as it was because the winds aren't all there.
One of the sensational things that came out about that was the Santa Ynez reservoir was empty, like 17 million gallon
Correct.
reservoir, and it was empty because there was a hole in the cover that goes over the reservoir, and they cover the reservoir because bird shit and whatever else, leaves falling off trees, stuff you don't really want in your drinking water. Not that it doesn't get purified, but still. Why wasn't the cover repaired before or sooner? Why weren't the valves repaired sooner? Like, is that but that was one of the things I researched, like, who repaired the valves? Maybe it was the Army Corps of Engineers, and that's Donald Trump's angle to saying he sent the military. I couldn't find anything like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, two things can be true at once. Like Donald Trump could be, he's all about being boisterous. I mean, The
Yeah.
Apprentice, you fired. Like he wants to make himself look as good as possible. So, and every politician's like told a white lie or a big lie,
Yeah.
or pardon their son, Biden. But
Weird.
I think the root of it is I do believe, like, I'm a pretty good judgment of character, I would say. Like, I do believe he wants to make good things happen. And I'm sure I'm going to get unfollowed by a few friends on the Twitters, but that's okay. I think he has for as much as he is like a billionaire, and all that other jazz, I think he does have the heartbeat on what are the concerns for the average American citizen.
Yeah. At least he knows how to rub them the right way.
Yes.
To quote Christina Aguilera. How's that for a throwback? Another thing that I've been hearing brought up, and this was like in my circle of gamer friends, which, as you know, we talked about this a little bit the other night. Leftism kind of infects everything.
Yeah.
But one of the guys was saying, we actually ended up having a really good conversation over a couple of topics, but one thing that we didn't really get into was the billionaires. He made this comment. That's what happens when you get all these billionaires involved in politics, in the halls of Congress and this and that. And prior to this conversation, I'd actually seen the argument somewhere else. I looked up, more billionaires supported Kamala Harris than supported Donald Trump. It was something like 83 billionaires threw their support behind Kamala Harris to only like 52 billionaires for Trump. It's just another vector of attack for the left because for some reason we hate billionaires. It's like a Marxist socialist kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like from what's the saying? From each according to their means or something like that. It's too late in the evening for me to remember things.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, I mean,
we want to make billionaires feel bad
which
so that
is
they
dumb.
leave the country or something. Like what's the preferred outcome? They'll go, "Oh, sorry. I don't want to be a billionaire anymore because nobody likes me."
Yeah, I mean, they're
Friends.
they're gonna stack their cash, and I hate the argument where people say like, when is it too much? I'm like, dude, if you work hard enough, you get excess. What you do with that excess is what makes you that good person or whatever else, right? So I mean, all those billionaires who donated to Kamala, whatever else, I'm like, if you guys are so worried about the housing the illegals, I'm like, why don't you lobby to take the red tape away and to give transparency, like let's say here in California, right? That way there's not like $72 million that's just missing.
Well, and this is one thing that came up with the discussion between me and my buddy. One of my buddies is he's I don't know if he's still in the Navy. He at least used to be in the Navy, and he's reaping the benefits of an education from his time in the Navy. Another friend is a disabled vet. And when it came out that Donald Trump was freezing these grants and these payment programs, they got all up in arms. And understandably so. Like, I think we should pay for our vets to go to school. I think we should take care of our vets.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think we should take care of our disabled veterans to the tune of like $100K a year. Like, you should be able to live a comfortable middle-class lifestyle if you went to war and came back injured. Even if you could sit in a cubicle and do a job. I think, you know what? I'm gonna give you a pass. I would like to see you be a full-time Twitch streamer if that's what you want to do, my friend. Because you went and took a bullet so that I could sit here and do this podcast.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
and
genuinely, I would say give them what you would give any 20-year guy.
Yeah.
Especially if the injury came from combat, particularly if it comes from combat. You know? Like, I know with regards to getting out of the military, they give you like a disability rating, or like how disabled or how screwed up have you become. There's like a percentage rating, and that would, rate your disability pay. I think, someone that I know, I won't say who, they leveled up in disability. So they're receiving extra. And I think that's awesome. If we really did take care of our vets and we said we cared about our vets as much as we did, I don't think we'd see a homeless veteran on the street.
Well, and think about how well we could take care of our vets if we didn't send $200 billion to Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that we shouldn't support our allies, but it's one of those things that I love to talk about on the show. People don't understand how much money we're talking about when we even just talk about $1 billion. I think I did the math on 1 billion seconds, and I think it was like 37 years is 1 billion seconds. Like, that really, I mean, for me, that really puts into perspective how much $1 billion is. And we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars going over to fund wars. And like, how many veterans could we educate? How many veterans could we take care of? And this is what Donald Trump is trying to accomplish. He sent, oh man, this was crazy. I couldn't believe it when I heard this. He sent basically well, I don't know. I don't even know how you would describe it. He sent everyone an email, every federal worker, 2 million federal workers, an email that said, if you want to resign, we'll give you 8 months severance plus benefits or something like that. All you have to do is respond to this email with resign in the subject line, and that's it. You can resign, you'll get 8 months pay, and that's the end of it. I haven't heard about how many people have actually taken him up on the offer.
No, when I read this, I thought this was genius.
Oh yeah.
Genuinely. Because there are a lot of people who are in, positions of government, and they truly just aren't good at what they need to do. Mayor Karen Bass, Governor Newsom. I know that's not federal, but I'm just putting in that dig.
They deserve it.
But I mean, genuinely, like, if you hate what you're doing, why are you doing it? And I know why you work for the federal government. Because your life is made if you work for the federal government. If you work for the Fed, your life is basically made, but you still have to earn that. Like myself, I work for a freaking private company. I work for a Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 company out of Taiwan. and they're like ridiculously cash good, and making a lot of good stuff, providing services and this and that. But we all have to earn our keep to get that 401k, to get that this, to get that, to get any sort of, if there's like discretionary extra money, whatever else, like, why is it that you get in and then you stop? I mean, do they not do performance reviews in the federal government? Is that like not a thing? Are you not allowed to fire someone in the federal government? Like, I'm asking these questions because genuinely I don't know, because I've never had a job that involved the government in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I've been lamenting the pandemic of poor leadership, is what I have called it on this show before. Because, yeah, I mean, I think nobody cares. Nobody in the federal government, especially up until maybe January 20th of this year, had any respect for the American people, and even less respect for their money. And my stepdad, who was very involved in politics when I was living at home, he said that taxpayer money is just viewed like a big pile of money. And nobody is standing there like, this is my money. It's just a big pile of money. And everybody just says, oh, I'll have some of that money. Give me some of that money. The pile of money doesn't go, hold on a minute. Now, what are you going to do with this? So everybody just takes the money that they want, and the money constantly is replenished because it gets deducted right from our paychecks. So, and our voices are basically non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the polls, and maybe that's legitimate. Maybe it's not legitimate. Like, you're going to get a chance to vote against Gavin Newsom again. He just got served with papers telling him he's going to face another recall election.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that I think of is he'll be fine because there's no because the elections are rigged in probably every universal vote by mail state. Like, I think what's the am I sharing the right? What is going on here? Yeah, there it is. It's not letting me close the ad. This is brilliant. I gotta what the hell though, for real? Why isn't it letting me close this damn ad? It's there,
Oh,
I
you
swear.
know what? It's because it's trying to give you the updates first. Hit refresh and see if you can hit no thanks before the ad pops up. Oh,
that kind of worked.
okay.
Let's watch the video. If it'll let me. Oh, here we go. No thanks. Continue. Give me some. Nope, it's not cooperating. Oh, wait. Real nice video player, WashingtonExaminer.com. All right, that's it. I'm over it. I don't need the video. Oregon,
Yeah,
I don't think Oregon has had Republicans win at all since they instituted universal mail-in voting in like 1996. It's hard to argue that it's really secure. And that's like, I really hope that's the next thing that Donald Trump does, because I want to know that the 2024 elections were conducted appropriately, because there were some strange anomalies where all of these Republicans won, but then a Democrat governor was elected in these other states. Just strange anomalies. Like, why would everyone vote Republican down ticket except for the governor? Why would they elect a Democrat governor? Why would they elect a Republican president, Republican legislature, Republican congressmen and senators, but a Democrat governor? And on that note of gubernatorial election questioning, remember the whole thing that happened with Katie Hobbs and Kari Lake in Arizona? I think it was in 2020 or maybe 2022.
Yep, I think it was 22.
Katie Hobbs is about to get in really big trouble because they're missing $395 million. And they like, I didn't read the story closely because it's still developing, but it seems like she was about to pull a fast one and cover it up, but then like a budget oversight office like caught it before she was able to do it. And now the questions are coming. And I just think like that's what happens when you elect or when the elections are not on the up and up. And I'm not saying that I know that they are for sure, but I'm saying where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yep.
A lot of the time. Here's a headline from the Arizona Republic. Katie Hobbs, budget director, resigns as legislature governor, negotiate spending plan. Let's punch in missing money here and see. Oh, big surprise.
You can't find it.
Big surprise that Google's not showing it to me, but this is one of my favorite flexes right here. You go to X.
Yep.
You go to X and you type it in. See a little Kash Patel getting confirmed. Oh, and there it is. Look at that. First result. Who would have thought? Craziness. 339 million disappeared from Arizona's budget. And here's the official letter from the Arizona House of Representatives, which I'm not going to read because boring.
Mm-hmm.
There was another thing. There was another debunking. Oh, that was it. That in this conversation with my more leftist friends, who really unfortunately haven't been as talkative lately since I went on my tirade about. I wasn't even attacking them. I was just telling them about all of the propaganda about how this like Donald Trump is the president again, so the propaganda machine is spinning up into warp drive or into warp speed, and like you just scroll X and you see all of these crazy people just spouting complete and utter nonsense. But the one thing that put the fire in my blood was the story about the J6er that got pulled over, got in a fight with the cops, and the cops killed him presumably on the side of the road. Well, the headline was J6er. Let's see if we can find the headline. And I'll share my screen so everyone can enjoy it. January 6th rioter pardoned by Trump is killed by police in traffic stop. Indiana man pardoned by Trump over January 6 riots, killed at traffic stop. January 6 rioter recently pardoned by Trump, shot, killed by Indiana sheriff's deputy while resisting arrest. And that was from a Fox affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately this paints this picture in your mind. And this is what got me pissed off after I read the article. The headline suggests that this guy got pardoned by Donald Trump, got out of prison, and immediately went and started fighting with cops.
Yep.
But what really happened is this guy got sentenced to 6 months in jail or prison, or who cares, in 2023. And he only happened to benefit from the pardon that Donald Trump issued when he took office. The blanket pardon for all the, whatever, the 1,500 January 6 defendants. But the media writes the headline, suggesting that as soon as this guy got out of prison, he went out and started breaking laws and fighting cops, because that's the kind of people that participated in January 6th, and that's the kind of people that Donald Trump wants to pardon and release back into the community.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just read headlines, if you just believed the bullshit that these people were talking about on X, you'd think, ooh, it's not a good look.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bad look. But no, it's more filthy propaganda. And that's why I do this show. I mean, it's what got me going doing this show. Now, before we close, because we're getting close here. My boy, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
We gotta
for
talk-
sure.
We got to talk about the plane crash. We got to talk about the plane crashes
Yeah.
because there's been another one, as I mentioned at the top of the show. There's been a few developments, a few recent developments.
So as of
but-
right now, if we're talking about the Black Hawk and American Airlines crash,
Yes.
right? Super tragic. What was there, like an ice skating team on the
Yep.
plane? So my question is, why is a military aircraft flying in line of a civilian aircraft?
Well, we have answers. We finally have answers. Well, we have answers. I should caveat this. We have answers according to the Daily Mail, which can sometimes be sensational and not very reliable.
Mm-hmm.
But let's hear from Pete Hegseth, courtesy of Alex Jones.
But I also wanted to give an update on the tragedy that happened last night here in Washington, D.C., and provide a little bit more information as we are
Our
actively
new Secretary of
working
Defense.
to investigate and understand what occurred and why. At about 8:48 last night, a UH-60 assigned to the U.S. Army Aviation Brigade in the Military District of Washington, Fort Belvoir, Virginia, collided tragically with a civilian airliner. The unit involved, the Army unit involved with Bravo Company 12th Aviation Battalion at Fort Belvoir. It was an annual proficiency training flight. And when we look at the crew, and not all kin have been notified, so we're going to withhold ranks and names at this point. We do know on our side who was involved. It was a fairly experienced crew, and that was doing a required annual night evaluation. They did have night vision goggles. A horrible loss of life for those 64 souls on that civilian airliner, and of course, the 3 soldiers in that Black Hawk. They're in our prayers, their families, and their communities as people are notified. I can't imagine. And I know it's gone from a rescue mission to a recovery mission. And we're with all the first responders that are moving actively too. So at the Defense Department, our thoughts and prayers go out. We are actively investigating to find out what happened and why. And as we get updates, you will have them. God bless.
An entire Russian, everybody's dead. An entire Russian figure skating team, among others. Of course, the conspiracy theories are running wild, which I love, but it doesn't seem, I mean, sure, those Black Hawks can be controlled remotely. They can be. Pretty solid details, I think, here from this Daily Mail article. All the catastrophic mistakes that led to the DC plane crash, as it is revealed, air traffic controller left tower early. That's just one. From the article, an air traffic controller was reportedly allowed to leave their post early just before American Airlines Flight 5342 collided in midair with a military helicopter over Washington, D.C. Insiders in a preliminary internal FAA report have started to reveal catastrophic failures leading up to the aviation disaster that killed 67 people, including 3 soldiers, Wednesday night. The collision took place as the American Airlines flight carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew made its final approach to Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport shortly before 9 p.m. Eastern. That night, an air traffic controller was left to handle both helicopter traffic and manage planes, which should have been a divided duty, according to the New York Times. Those tasks are usually handled between 2 people from 10 a.m. until 9:30 p.m., according to the report. After 9:30, the duties are typically combined and left to one person as the airport sees less traffic later in the night. A supervisor reportedly decided to combine those duties before the scheduled cutoff time, however, and allowed one air traffic controller to leave work early. The FAA report said that staffing configuration was not normal for the time of day and volume of traffic, end quote. It remains unclear why the supervisor allowed the worker to clock off early on Wednesday night, just before the midair collision. Well, it's probably because she was trans, because, you know, can blame them for everything. It's like being trans is the new being a Jew, something. But here's the kicker. This is what's this is really the problem. It has also emerged that the Army helicopter, which was carrying 3 soldiers involved in the collision, might have also deviated from its approved flight path. Approval had been given for the helicopter to fly no higher than 200 feet along the east side of the Potomac River, where it would have avoided the passenger jet. The pilot of the helicopter confirmed sight of the American Airlines flight and was told to stick to their predetermined route and go behind the plane. Sources said the pilot did not stick to the path, however, and was a half mile off course, as well as being at an altitude above 300 feet. A senior Army official told the Times that the pilot of the Black Hawk had flown the route before and was well aware of the tight altitude restrictions and routes. As the jet approached the runway, those on board had asked air traffic control to change their runway, according to an FAA report. The plane, a Bombardier CRJ-700, had been cleared to touch down on runway 1, the main airport thoroughfare, but the controller then asked the pilot to land on runway 33. A source told the Times that such a move is routine, especially with regional jets.
They're smaller.
The decision might have been made to prevent clogging on the main runway. If you've seen the video, dare we try to get this video to play? Contains images that some viewers may find upsetting. You've been warned. All right, we can see it here on the left.
Yep.
It's coming in just above the horizon.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't. Like, you're telling me that's 300 feet? Like, that's kind of crazy. Not much to see. A nice picture of the Capitol.
You saw the little spark.
Yeah. And there are many other angles that show the helicopter lit. It appears the helicopter flies right into
Hello,
the plane.
everyone. I'm Robert Isom, the CEO of American Airlines.
Okay, thank you, Robert. We're good.
Yeah, so first and foremost,
this is why they have flight paths. This is why they have,
yes,
hard decks.
Yeah, first and foremost, for anyone, saying DEI, it was a lesbo, it was shut the hell up. Really? Like,
yeah,
stop. You're being just like, you're playing the same, like, if you're on the right and you're saying DEI, you're playing the same game that the left plays when you say fascist, MAGA,
Nazi, yeah.
anythingist, this, that, right?
Yes.
So
You're so right.
this really just seems like a case of just terrible timing. Like, everyone, like, I hate to say it, everyone fucked up.
Yeah.
The person who left an hour early, maybe homeboy just wanted to get some nookie. It was his anniversary. The wife was, dressing up nice. So he's like, hey, yo, boss, let me leave an hour early.
And supervisor said, okay.
Yeah, and supervisor said, okay, on any other day, that probably wouldn't have occurred, right? And let's say Army, right? Army, Black Hawk guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Black Hawk guys.
Hawk.
You can't say that too fast. Sounds like something else. But
great big.
Earnestly, if they were
swing.
not on the flight path, what was it, just like the big old like dick measuring contest? He's like, oh dude, we can totally do this. Like, we gotta do, like,
yeah, let's buzz the passenger jet.
yeah. And I know that. So if this was like what do you call it? Like, so I have, family that was in the military, and they do like war games and war preparation and stuff like that. And, there's those who take it like dead seriously. And there are those who just, sit in the tube and say, let me just rest here for 5 minutes before I need to do my next thing. So that could have been what was going on. I mean, it's freaking tragic. And when people do dumb crap, just terrible things happen. I think it's just the issue of everyone was at the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't think there's much there, obviously we can't find out what the intention of anyone was because they're all dead. So you just kind of have to look at this and just make an example of it, for the military helicopter pilot folk. Just be like, yo, you do not, this is the reason why we do not deviate from the flight path. And now our tax dollars have to pay to replace that damn helicopter.
Yeah, that the helicopter, probably the airliner, and who knows how many lawsuits will come from the families.
Uh-huh.
You know, it was like Hegseth said, it was a proficiency training review kind of a thing.
Mhm.
You know, this is where it gets it lends credibility to conspiracy theories. The first story out was that it was a trans pilot, Joe Ellis,
Mm-hmm.
that was flying the helicopter. It's like another dog whistle to the whole DEI thing. But she, like, somebody from the press called her that the next morning, and she answered the phone because she wasn't the pilot,
Mm-hmm.
still alive. However, they are withholding the identity of the pilot because who knows? But this is how conspiracy theories get going.
Yep.
You start withholding information. You start classifying things and trying to cover things up.
Yeah, when you let stupid people's imaginations run wild, that's how you get conspiracy theories. No offense.
I know.
You know,
I'm raising
but-
my hand. I love it. I love conspiracy theories. I love making up conspiracy theories. And
But you have to do that because you're trying to find the truth. It's not coming from an uncouth place. It's not coming from a place of pain, but you have to use your real world reasoning and your real world experience to see how this could have transpired. Kind of how I came to the deduction of, oh, they were probably just fooling around and that got them killed.
Yeah.
And also
Not
a
paying
lot
attention.
more
It's just-
people
it's
killed.
Stupid proficiency review training thing. Ugh,
Exactly.
guys. Yes. Are we a half a mile off course? I don't know. Are we 100 feet higher than we should be? I don't know. Let's just get this over with. Yeah, I see the plane. Like, if you're watching the video, we are streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and X. There's another plane flying in the same vicinity. So if
Mhm.
air traffic control says, Blackhawk, watch out for that plane, and they're looking at this plane that's probably 1,000 feet in the air, they're going to say, yeah, we see it. No worries. Now,
Yeah.
maybe having that other air traffic controller would have fixed the problem. Certainly flying on your predetermined flight path would have, solved everything.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to assess who's at fault. Honestly, I would lean towards the Blackhawk.
Yeah,
That's where I'd lean towards, because
the negligence.
if this is a test, you got to take that test serious. So either A, the crew was incompetent, B, the crew didn't care, or the worst case scenario C, and this is more the conspiratorial one, they're like a terrorist cell.
Yeah, I mean,
Those are the only three options that I could see.
that's perfectly exciting. I mean, there's a lot of outrage. I mean, we talked about the sort of blanket resignation offer to every federal employee. A lot of people are upset. A lot of people are government employees that served under appointees, government appointees that served under Biden, have loyalty to Biden, have loyalty to the Democrats and the left, and we know how much the Democrats and the left hate Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the border's been wide open for the last 4 years.
Yep.
Anybody can come in. Anybody could have been invited. We don't know who these people are. We don't know what they've been doing. We don't know why they were invited, but we know they were invited. This was one of the reasons that Donald Trump froze all the federal grant spending, because a lot of it was going to the NGOs that were facilitating all of this illegal immigration.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with how, I'll just say irresponsible, because I have a lot of other potential thoughts, thought paths that I could go down when we're talking about what the Biden administration was actually doing to the country while they were in power. But it wouldn't be hard to let terrorists join the military. All it would take is just looking the other way. Like, we know they got into the country. We don't know what happened to them. This is another reason that Donald Trump has trying so quickly to deport all of these people. And now we've just, as of a few hours ago, had another plane crash that we don't really have many details on. But we know that it has created a tremendous amount of damage.
Yeah.
And let me just find this story here. It's a small plane crash. Now this is what they're saying: a small plane crash in Philadelphia. I'm just going to pull up the X trending page because, as I said, this is a developing story where it appears that they want us to think that it's a small like an air ambulance, I think, is how they're classifying it.
Correct.
Shoots straight out of the sky and is aiming like straight down. I mean, is anybody else getting 9/11 flashbacks?
Yeah, I like right before we started the podcast, I looked at the view. It's like number one, there has to be more details absolutely need to be released. And number two, like that looked like a nosedive. You can't,
and a crazy huge, like, what was it? Was it full of fuel?
No, go back up. What it hit? What kind of building it hit?
Like, look at just check out this video.
Yeah.
We're streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and X simultaneously. Thank you very much. You can see in this video, it's streaking out of the sky like a comet.
Yeah.
And already the conspiracy theories are flying.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. So let me get this straight. The alleged jet in Philadelphia took off at exactly 6:06, where there were 6 people on board that died. 666. Dude, that's like the Iowa Karen who said Monster was made by the devil. Have you ever seen that?
What do you think about gematria and numerology and that stuff?
It's fucking stupid. It's like astrology.
Yeah, me too. Yes. It's what I was just about to say.
Freaking
But I was like,
dumb.
hold on a minute. I better check in. Check in.
Like 13's an unlucky number because Friday the 13th. Shut up. Like
And-
in
well, but then
Japanese, there's 2 ways to say the number 4. One of the ways to say the number 4 is bad luck.
And there's what was it? Like something about the number 23. Like I did this a long time ago.
Like the Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah, how like everything adds up to the number 23. But the thing is, like, you have so much freedom. They say, like, oh, you take this and add this and times this and then divide this and it comes to 23. Like, you could make anything come to 23 if you just
No
fuck with the
algebra.
equation and in the right way.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, this means it was one of the things that drove me crazy about the QAnon conspiracy theory. And like every time Donald Trump had a typo in any of his Twitter posts, it was like, oh, what does that mean? That means something. That's a Q proof. It's a Q proof. We know that this is going to happen, and we know that Donald Trump knows what Q is, and he's going to take down all the pedophile politicians in our government. It's like, come on, man. You can make anything make sense if you just believe. Just believe. It's like Peter Pan. You can fly, you can fly, you can fly, you can fly. And with that,
Or a Rufio.
yes.
Yeah, Captain Hook.
Do you hear it?
Yeah, I hear your music.
Nice. I've been trying to figure out how to do sidechain compression, but I think what I've been doing wrong this whole time is just not turning up the compressor high enough so that you can actually hear me. Like I go back and listen after it's all recorded and exported, and I'm like, wow, that music is way too loud. I can barely hear what anybody is saying.
Yeah.
But I think I got it. I think I got it worked out now. Of course, it's different on the stream than it is on the pre-recorded or on the, the audio only version, which is also available on podcast and Spotify and Podbean and Overcast and all of them. I would actually implore you, if this podcast is not on your podcast platform of choice, please send an email to the Real Earthvox at protonmail.com or hit me up on X at Earthvox or on Minds, the Earthvox. It's everywhere. Just, you know where to find me. I'm available. Let me know if it's not where you need it to be, and I'll put it there because it doesn't really take that much effort.
Yeah, and thanks again for having me as a co-host here.
Dude, this was great.
Good stuff.
Great.
I think
job.
we have more things to talk about. But for now, just everyone be safe.
Yeah, for real. And stay off airplanes. At least until we get this. This is one thing. I know I'm going to go into another rant here while we're wrapping it up. But the left again rolls out and says, oh, this is all Donald Trump's fault because he's been in power for 8 days or however long. It's been 11 days now. It's so disingenuous. It's so disingenuous. It's like, this is why Donald Trump is the president again. Love him or hate him. He's the president again because you guys over here on the left can't tell the truth. You lie about everything.
If you hate it so much, go super glue your hands on an airplane and let it take off with your hands super glued to it while you paint yourselves orange and just stop oil. Okay, just fine. And then, tell me that you're vegan after that too. Like, but I can't stand it on the right either when they're like, oh yeah, they're friggin', they're all communists and and then you go to like the sometimes Alex Jones like all the freaking alligator lizard people, and I'm giving away the story of Neon Genesis Evangelion because they want us to be a conscious part of this hive mind, to be like this like primordial group. I'm like, you're literally describing one of my favorite animes to me. Stop it.
Well, this is where all these ideas come from.
Yeah.
All right. We could do this all night, but that's a good thing. That means you're all going to have to come back next weekend and we'll do it again. Please subscribe to the podcast everywhere you find podcasts. Leave me a nice rate and review if you wouldn't mind. I would be eternally grateful. Have a good night.
Have a good night, y'all.
We'll talk to you soon. All right. We did it.
That was good. That was an hour too. Like a little over, but